welcome back to my channel. Today, we're still reading Goldie, and I hope you enjoy this chapter. We're up to chapter 3, so I hope you enjoy. Chapter 3. Goldie started to wriggle, pushing her way out of Dad's jacket. She got one paw out and started to push harder. Her little legs churned away as she climbed. "Oops, hold on there, sweetie," Charles' dad said. He pulled down the zipper and reached in with a big hand to carefully pull her out. "There you go," he said, as he bent down to put Goldie on the floor. The puppy looked around with big eyes. She yawned widely, showing a long curled pink tongue and 2 rows of tiny sharp teeth. Then she shook herself and took a couple of unsteady steps. Her little tail stuck straight up in the air. Her golden coat was tangled and smudged with soot. "Doggy! Doggy!" yelled the bean. He started to crawl towards Goldie. Mum swooped down to pick the bean up. "Let's let the doggy get used to us slowly," she said. She kissed the bean's ear and held him tight. He yawned, showing off his own pink tongue and little white teeth. Goldie took 3 steps forward and then stopped, trembling. This room was warm and it smells good, but it was big and there were so many people. Charles sat down on the floor and reached out a hand. "Here, Goldie," he called. Goldie padded towards him. "She knows her name," Lizzie cried softly. "What a little smarty." She sat down on the floor next to Charles. "Are you sure she's not hurt, Dad? Did you check her all over?" "Not yet," said Dad. "We can clean her up and make sure she's okay. She's had all her puppy shots, so unless she's hurt, we don't need to take her to the vet." Sammy finished his French toast and stood up. "I'll go get some of Rufus's old toys. Goldie might as well borrow them if she's not using them." He headed for the door. "Plate, Sammy," Mr. Peterson reminded him. Sammy went back to the table, grabbed his plate and fork, and brought them back to the sink. "I'll be right back, Goldie," he promised as he let himself out. Dad took a clean towel out of a drawer, wet a corner of it at the sink, and joined Charles and Lizzie on the floor. "Let's take a look at this pup," he said. But when Dad reached for Goldie, she scooched down and her ears held back. She tucked herself under Charles's knee. "She's still scared," said Charles. "It's okay, girl," he said softly. "Come on, Goldie. I'll hold you so Dad can check you out." He held out his hand and Goldie climbed into his lap, making little snuffling noises as he curled down into her arms. Charles leaned down and buried his nose in the silky soft fur of Goldie's neck. He took a big deep breath. That delicious puppy smell. Charles felt perfectly happy, sitting there on the floor with a warm dog on his lap. With Charles holding her to keep her calm, Lizzie and her dad wiped Goldie's coat clean and checked her all over to make sure she had no cuts or bruises. By the time they were done, Goldie wasn't frightened anymore. She started to mouth their hands as she petted, gnawing with her little teeth. "Hey!" cried Charles. "Do I look like a puppy to you?" He knew that puppies chewed on one another all the time. Goldie would have to learn that chewing on people was not okay. Charles held Goldie in his arms, giggling as she licked and chewed at his earlobes. Then she struggled to get down and he let her go. She skidded across the kitchen floor, heading straight for the beans' plate of French toast. "Hold on, Goldie, that's not puppy food," said Charles. He scrambled to get the plate before Goldie did. Goldie sat back, looking disappointed. Then she caught another smell and took off in the other direction, tripping over herself in her eagerness to learn about everything in this new place. Sammy burst back in with an armload of fuzzy, floppy toys. "I brought Mr. Man a yellow ducky," he said. "Ducky used to be Rufus's favourite." Bean held out his hands. "Toy!" he yelled. Sammy handed him Mr. Man, who was made out of a soft white material. Then he held out Ducky for Goldie. She took hold of one of the fluffy yellow wings and started to shake the toy wildly, making the other wing bang against her head. Losing her balance, she plopped down on the floor and rolled over so her soft pink belly showed. Her eyes were wild as she bit at the toy, grabbing for Ducky's beak. Ducky suddenly let out a huge squeak. "Squeak!" Goldie jumped up and stared at the toy for a second. Then she grabbed a wing and started shaking again. Everyone was laughing. Goldie was so funny. Charles thought he could watch her forever. "Oh, Mum, we have to keep her," said Lizzie. "Please," Charles begged. "If we keep her, it will only be for a little while," Peterson reminded them. "Just until we find her a good home. That's how a foster family works." "We'll take good care of her," Charles promised. "She won't be any trouble." But then Goldie rolled over, jumped to her feet, and took 3 steps to a spot under the kitchen table. She sniffed, she squatted, and she peed. Oh no! Hopefully you guys are going to find out what happens if Mum decides to let the Peterson kids keep Goldie. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Bye!